Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rubbin Racing Podcast. It's brought to you by Cabo Wabo Tequila. It's the unquestionably Mexican tequila with an undeniably American attitude. And Cabo Wabo isn't just tequila. No, it's damn good, thick cut, 100% Blue Weber agave tequila. Cabo Wabo Tequila is the official tequila partner of Nascar, and you can add a bold splash to race day watching with Cabo Wabo Tequila. So if you're headed to Chicago this weekend, come celebrate race day with us and with Cabo Wabo. But we want to remind you that you need to leave the driving to the professionals this weekend and every weekend, so please enjoy the thick-cut, bold taste of Cabo Wabo tequila responsibly. So grab your buds and get on down to either Chicago in front of a TV with a bottle of Cabo Wabo tequila for the boldest race day experience ever. You got to be 21 years or older, and you have to handle this stuff responsibly because it is delicious, but it can get you. Thank you very much, Cabo Wabo, for your continued support, and here we go with the podcast. Rubbin Racing, we just got back from Nashville where we sweated our asses off. Spider, give me one word to describe the Nashville experience this year.
Sweaty,
yeah. I thought it was exhausting. Like all the fucking hoops that they had. I will tell you what, though, watching a rain delay in that type of heat and basically watching the track just steam up where it almost just cleaned itself up. NASCAR sometimes says it could take over an hour to dry off some of these tracks, particularly in conditions that aren't as brutal as the ones we had down in Nashville. So you never want to race, never want a race delayed because of rain. But if you do, that was probably the quickest way I've seen them go in and out for a rain delay. So kudos to them, but it still kind of sucked, sweating our balls off at the fucking track the whole time. I do know a bunch of people who didn't go because it was too hot, like NASCAR guys, not a bunch of pussies like me. Yeah, it was one of those things where it was just about unbearably hot. Anything else? What's going on, boys? Everybody good? We look forward to this weekend in Chicago?
Yeah. We're trying to figure out the TV behind us. Right?
Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff going on in Chicago this week. I think tonight I got invited to a NASCAR charity dinner with Steve Phelps and like several other industry people. So should be interesting. I'm going to have a suit on and not a hat on, so it should be a nice change of pace. Tonight. Just got a first-hand look at the Chicago Street Course with Brad Keselowski, so if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. And recovering from NASCAR, so pumped to be home and ready to welcome NASCAR to this beautiful city we're recording from today.
It's the best. Spider's going to go to dinner with all these NASCAR execs, then come back and be like, I got so many scoops. Like he just goes to get
Well,
scoops.
I did come back from NASCAR with a couple scoops, and I don't know at what point in this show I will reveal them, but not at this moment.
It's going to be nice seeing you in a suit. You'll probably stay sober, get all those guys under the table, and get them to fucking give up the ghost, which I love. So big episode next week, I can tell already. So I was actually in a suit last night. We rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange.
I saw that. What was that about, Large? That looked fantastic.
We did a segment, Barstool Finance, on this company. And we did it, I don't want to say as a joke, but just sort of as like, just as a story, because the name, the ticker is YALL. YALL. I love that shit.
Yeah.
And these guys, they're an ETF, which means it's a basket of stocks. So
right.
You want to invest in the utility, and you don't want to just do Duke Power or Southern Company. You could invest in the UTY, which will give you a basket of utility stocks.
Well, let me stop you right there. Is y'all made up of like Popeyes, Cracker Barrel, like all the Southern?
No.
That would be incredible. Buc-ee's.
Even though Adam Curran is a Texas guy, the gentleman who started this whole thing, their whole thing is just investing in companies that don't have DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're not against DEI. They just think that from a profit standpoint, it hurts every company that it touches. Disney being the big example, maybe Bud Light being the biggest example, right? So they just create baskets of stocks in this ETF that doesn't have any kind of DEI stuff, which we thought was wild to even talk about. So we got up there, we spoke to the guy, and the performance has been pretty well. And since the episode, it was one of the first places that gave him a platform. So now they're listing on the New York Stock Exchange. And so he invited myself and Annie, and now it's Annie's old stomping grounds, to come down for the bell ringing ceremony because he thought we were integral in getting the word out there. So
that's awesome.
I thought it was pretty cool. Everybody there, it does have, a very conservative feel to it, obviously, but I don't know.
That sounds like I saw a tweet the other day, which I think it was like a little bit of just a joke more than a reality, but it was this like big park in Austin, Texas, where it's just everybody on a Tuesday sunbathing. and he's like, I just go around and ask people where they work and then just short that company.
Yeah.
He's like, they're all working from home when they're just out there doing nothing. And he's like, I just figure out what companies they work for and short those.
Yeah. And so that's almost the exact same thing that these guys are doing. So anyway, so we were down there, and like I said, Annie was a broker down there. So she was the 80th woman to sign the book. So going down there is such a, even though the place is ghost town compared to how it was when we were down there, it's just always good for a nostalgia purpose. And I look good in the suit, as does Spider. So 2 days in a row, the Rubbin is Racing guys are going to be decked to the nines.
While we're sitting here, the Wood Brothers just announced that Josh Berry will drive the 21 car.
Wow.
It's another groundbreaking bombshell as we record here live. Initial reaction, guys?
I think he's going to do very good there, but I don't know. How long do you want to be at Wood Brothers? I guess Harrison Burton made me think that seat's not as good as it is, maybe.
Does Rodney go with him? And I know that was so. Berry had said at Media Day in Nashville that he's confident he'll be in a Cup ride next year, but he wasn't sure if he'll be with Rodney as his crew chief. And Wood Brothers made the announcement today. We're recording at 11 o'clock on July 3rd, so they said that they were going to come out with it, at this time. So did they mention crew chief?
They did not. No mention of Rodney. And I refrain saying his name on the show because I always get fear that I'm going to mix him up with Tyler Childers. So, but yeah, I think he's probably one of the most lucrative free agents right now. And he's not even a driver. So I'm interested to see what happens. It doesn't look like he's definitely not with the Wood Brothers, but there's nothing saying he is.
Because he originally was like, we're a package deal.
I think they wanted to remain together, which honestly is probably good for both of their job securities. Not to be a pro-union guy, but I do think sticking together in a package deal is way more desirable, especially for some of these teams that are coming into a new charter and don't necessarily have the resources in place already that entails running an extra Cup car.
Yeah, it kind of hits home too. We were in Nashville. I was out with a bunch of spotters for that Kurt Busch. I think Kurt's 4th retirement party it was. So one of the guys was a spotter for Briscoe. So he's like, I'm looking for a job. So not the whole crew goes over with them necessarily. And I know being a crew chief is higher on the ranking than a spotter would be possibly. But I thought as a package deal, I thought Josh Berry seemed more attractive in a package deal, but we'll see what happens there because it just hit the fucking tape as we're speaking. With one of the gentlemen who listens to us every week, a guy named Brandon, we brought him up before. He had given us something because we had mentioned how Miami was being moved up in the season. We had mentioned it last week. And he had said that Jordan Bianchi, who I got to shake hands with at the track this weekend, he had said that the reason Miami got moved up early in the year is because once they got through with that race, they were going to do a lot of refurbishes to the track to get it up to the likes of a Phoenix. Phoenix is kind of newer and whatever flashier. So perhaps they'd be able to host something for the playoffs in the following year. And that kind of makes sense because nobody likes Phoenix. That's the one that everyone kind of wants to change. So I think that if they were to make the jump from going Phoenix to possibly Homestead, that would make sense. Couple other things I'm going to mention right off the bat. Headlines. Andy Petrie had mentioned after we recorded last week that he was leaving RCR effective immediately. Those two words are never good. Effective immediately. It usually means that it wasn't overly, right? I gave my 2 weeks
get the
notice.
Fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. I gave my 2 weeks notice. They asked me to stay on for another 2 weeks. Just like those are kind of these kind words. Effective immediately means that they changed the locks on your doors or you just wanted to get the fuck out of Dodge. And even Kyle Busch, when he's asked to comment on it, he seems to have liked the move. So do you think that gives him any kind of security staying at RCR? I know his results this weekend weren't ideal. But what do you think about that? Because, Andy's been around for a long time, as everybody knows. He was going to retire. Perhaps RCR is just letting him retire as opposed to saying that they're moving on without him. I don't know all the information behind it. I don't know if we ever will. But is this a real positive step in keeping Kyle Busch for at least another season, or does it not make a fucking difference? That horse is out of the barn.
I don't think it makes a difference. I think Kyle Busch was going to stay at RCR 90%. in any case, regardless of any crew change. I do feel kind of encouraged or inspired by this decision change, and that's not a shot at Andy Petrie. It's just more of, we see this every year where whether it be the pit crew or the director of competition or whatever their title is, oftentimes there's changes made outside of obviously the driver. So the driver stays, and then it's just kind of finding the pieces around them that work. So I don't know. I'm kind of riding the fence on this. I don't think Kyle Busch is going to go nuclear now. I don't think this is going to change much for him. And I do think this reassures that he'll be back with RCR next year.
Yeah, I think it just shows, like, it was kind of last week when we were talking about it, it's like something at RCR is broken. Like the chemistry and nobody's getting along or having fun. I think it just shows that the changes are going to be with the suits and they're not making the changes with the driver. Like the changes are going to come elsewhere in the organization.
Right. I think it's kind of a good sign for what we've been saying, Large. It almost leads me to believe that RCR is believing what we've been saying, that their team needs to be better, that they have the ability to be better, and so there's a disconnect somewhere. So and it's not on Kyle Busch, because it could, as crazy as it is, I'm just looking at Hailie Deegan in the Xfinity Series this week in Chicago, was removed from the car and Joey Logano was thrown in her place. It could be worse for Kyle Busch. This decision, I'm not saying he's going to get fired or replaced by Joey Logano, but I'm saying
that'd be great.
This move leads me to believe that they agree with us, Large, that it is on the team and not the driver. So I'm interested to see. Hopefully they can get things back on track at RCR.
Because he won 3 races with that equipment, the previous season, as we mentioned last week. So, yeah, something's amiss. Maybe this cures it. Danica Patrick, can somebody explain if I'm being punked? Did anyone happen to see the Lizard People podcast?
I saw what you sent, and I
didn't even entertain it.
I hope it's all real.
Listen, I'm going to take this with a grain of salt, because I went to this, I was a big Manti Te'o fan. And I felt terrible the way that guy was, got catfished. I think I'm being catfished here, because I read some of the transcripts from Danica Patrick went on Elizabeth April's podcast. I don't know who Elizabeth April is. I don't know if she's a crazy fucking conspiracist who her guests just come on there and nod through their interviews with her. But these guys went so fucking deep in, this Lizard People shit. I can't even get to all of these reptilian things that they're talking about, including the fact that
you should read a few of them, though.
Yeah, I'll read all. Elon Musk is the Da Vinci of our generation. Where is it? There's so fucking many of them. If you were meant to be a waveform, you wouldn't be a human. Quantum physics proves that it's a simulation. The double slit experiment is the truth. She has a rocket scientist friend at NASA. The Atlanteans have chosen this time to reincarnate people from Atlantis. 26,000 years ago, humans inhabited Atlantis. They were given everything, all knowledge, all information, all technology. Technology, and go on. UFOs are real. Aliens are real. Videos from the 1940s prove it. Don't talk to your kids about Santa. Talk to them about ghosts. Adele and Justin Bieber are both reptilian beings. It's absolutely fucking crazy, some of the shit. I didn't see it as being the first thing that jumped up when you Googled Danica Patrick this morning, and it probably should have been. And that's what leads me to believe that either the Illuminati are hiding all this reptilian knowledge from us, or it was almost like a punk type thing. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she was playing along.
No.
But if anyone who's listening finds out that this is true, please tell me, because I would love to have another reason to despise this crazy cunt.
That list is too long for her to be just going with it.
She dated Aaron Rodgers. That to me is just confirming all of these potential hypothetical conspiracies she may be entertaining. I feel like both of them are fucking nuts.
Before she went on a guided mushroom journey where she became a waveform? Like
I don't know.
All this stuff is she dated Ricky Stenhouse too, right?
Yep.
Thank God he got out.
I think, yeah, Ricky that seems like a dub for Ricky to get out of there.
Yes.
And Ricky, we're sending the best of luck. I know he's expecting a child right now, very shortly, or maybe already. So we send our best to the Stenhouse family.
Yeah, who was on hold for that, Spider, when we were going?
Anthony Alfredo was meant to be the backup driver. Should have the baby came during the race time. So congratulations to the Stenhouses and Danica. Get help.
Justin Bieber will accidentally shapeshift on stage in front of thousands. The audience will have their minds wiped like a Men in Black situation. That's how they suppress the truth, which is fucking. Anyway, so Danica Patrick continues to. I continue to dislike her, and she might just be absolutely fucking insane, or not.
Or we might have just got.
Yeah, I might have. But I'm putting it out there.
Yeah,
I want to believe it. The X-Files. I want to believe that this is true, but I'm skeptical on it. Amarola versus Bubba Wallace and Rough and Rowdy. So it'll be 3 1-minute rounds with 16-ounce gloves. Who do you think wins? Who do you think wins? I'm gonna go to Moonhead. By the way, Travis is with us. Moonhead is right here. I'm gonna ask you first, Moonhead, because Spider knows more about Rough and Rowdy than most because he's the ringside cameraman who has actually been punched and pushed into crowds, saving thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment on multiple occasions. Quiggs is a pit fighter from way back. He used to be a pretty fucking tough guy. I have no idea. Everyone knows that I used to kick ass as a boxer as well.
Before Quiggs started pumping hormones, he was a really good fighter.
Yeah.
I'm not pumping hormones. Not pumping hormones.
We're going to go. This is the fuck, marry, kill. I'm going to ask everybody. And it's not a fuck, marry, kill. Who wins? 3 1-minute rounds. So conditioning is not going to be too much of an issue because these guys are both athletes. Eric Almirola versus Bubba. Who wins?
I think Almirola. I feel like you don't lose the fight and get suspended. I feel like instigator just means you won. So I would have to put my money on Almirola.
I thought I was going to be in the minority with that. What do you think, Spider?
Yeah, I'm with both of you guys. I just remember, Large, we were at Michigan for the Cabo Wabo 250 and Xfinity race last season, and Eric Almirola walked by us, and he was in a plain black T-shirt, and it kind of gave me like Ricky Stenhouse waiting for Kyle Busch vibes. Like, rarely do you see these guys in like street clothes or what they would wear to like the gas station, and he looked fucking menacing. The veins in his arm, speaking of pumping hormones, it looked like he was pumping HGH. He was fucking ripped, and he looked like a guy I would not fuck with, especially from what I read, it seemed like one of them mentioned the other's family. So I feel like if Eric being a dad, I know Bubba's a father now as well, but Eric, obviously, I feel like I would not fuck with him. He's on that like angry dad shit, and he's like in his prime for dad. You know what I mean? For being an angry dad.
Prime dads. Right?
Yeah, I would not fuck with him. He looks like a menacing dude, and especially right now, like he's got nothing to lose. I mean, obviously, he wants to race in Xfinity, which has been a treat for all of us to watch this year, in my opinion. But I don't know if it's really something that sets him off. Like I'm siding with Eric. Stand on business and fucking handle it. So
surprisingly big height difference too.
Yeah. Yes. Bubba is like
Bubba's a tough guy. Like
he's pretty beefy too. Like he's pretty thick guy as well.
Do you know how tall Bubba Wallace is?
I would say he's probably like 5'10", 5'11",
5'9",
6 foot.
Which this is also just the internet, but he's listed as 5'6".
Oh, no. I don't believe it.
Yeah, he's probably like 5'8" to 5'10", if I had to guess.
They have Bubba as 5'6".
They have Justin Haley as 5'2", if I'm not mistaken. I promise you, Justin Haley. If he's 5'2", Moon, I gotta be 5'2", and I'm not. I refuse to believe that.
Yeah.
Where did they get this info?
I don't know. What do you think, Quiggs? Is this a sweep? I thought, honestly.
It's a sweep.
Is it a sweep?
Yeah.
Eric Almirola, the crazy Cuban?
Yeah.
I mean, he does seem like he has a hair trigger. When I interviewed him the first time, he's the first driver I interviewed because he had a portfolio. So they wanted me to do that finance thing with him about how he day trades. And the second time we spoke to him, I think he had just jumped out of a plane or did one of those. He did something with the Army. So he's pretty jacked. Which is not taking anything away from Bubba. I think Bubba can handle himself.
Yeah, Bubba's in pretty good shape too, but Eric is in really good shape.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a clean sweep, Quixie?
Yeah, I think Amarola would dust him.
All right, so we're talking about this because all of a sudden Eric Almirola just kind of disappeared. He hadn't been seen in the Xfinity Series since a fifth-place finish at Darlington in May, and then was scrubbed last minute at Charlotte with Ty jumping in the ride instead. And then they said there was a big team meeting between JGR and 2311 Racings, because Toyota supports both teams, so they have a technical alliance. And no one knew how it started, but they said Amarola was the instigator. So the decision was made to suspend him for the Charlotte race, where he was originally listed as a number 20 car driver. We have to give credit where credit's due. I think we all follow this guy, NASCAR Prophecy. Do you guys follow this guy?
I believe
also?
so, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. And so he had said weeks ago, rumbling around the garages, that Eric Amarola is relieved of his driving duties at JGR over a conflict at Toyota's team meeting last week. And he put that out on the 1st of June, and people kind of laughed him off, but he was dead on with it. So that's a scoop we would have fucking liked, to be quite honest with you. I'm sure Christopher Bell accidentally told NASCAR, NASCAR Prophecy, because Christopher Bell can't keep his fucking mouth shut. But either way, Eric Amarola versus Bubba Wallace is very, very fucking intriguing for me. So I want to see how it plays out. And then they had asked Bubba about it, and he had said they don't want me to get into details to keep some people's images good. So, sort of a, I don't know, passive-aggressive way of saying that I don't want to fuck with him, but he was in the wrong.
This is one of those things where it seems like it'd almost be better if they told people, because when they don't tell you, your imagination kind of runs wild and you can think whatever you want happened. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, depending on what it is, it might be better to just, like, if they would have just told people what was said and what actually happened.
Yeah, I guess they're not obligated to, or perhaps, from Amarola's perspective, he doesn't want it out, But he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would lie either and say that he pulled a groin, so he wasn't able to hop in the ride. So it did seem like it was just an eventuality that people were going to find out about this. You guys upset about Hooters? It's not been able to meet its sponsorship obligations, the number 9 team, so they ended their relationship. The Hooters sponsorship deal with the team was scheduled to end after this year, or at least be maybe redone. They were the primary sponsor for Chase Elliott at Atlanta and Texas earlier in the season, and were scheduled to sponsor the fall Richmond race. But since then, they've fallen on some hard times. Hooters has struggled recently and just announced the closure of 44 locations worldwide. Are they still on our payroll, Quiggs? Do you remember? Is Hooters still with us, or did we move on?
I haven't seen anything with Hooters in a while.
Same.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. As you said, Large, they've been with us. They've been with Chase. I think they have some of the most iconic schemes. They got to win this year and then just kind of rode off into the sunset. But I am a little disappointed. I liked their restaurant, 1. I liked having them in the sport, 2. And then 3, obviously, as we just said, a sponsor of ours. So all 3 of those things, I was a big Hooters fan. I'm a little disappointed. And, yeah, it's sad. I mean, it was a staple of American dining, and now it's probably
a staple like NASCAR sponsor.
Yeah, it's probably on its last leg.
And just a great scheme, like the colors.
Exactly.
It was a perfect brand for NASCAR.
Yeah, and it looked cool on a car too. So it's not to have M&Ms, even to a degree, not to have Smithfield powered by bacon, which you kind of see, and now to have Hooters leave. I don't know who steps in. I think Hooters dies just because of the whole political correctness, right? Like, I've taken my kids there since they were very young. And I do like the chicken, but places like Raising Cane's and stuff like that are probably eating their lunch right now. So,
and it's just food delivery. It's
that's true
a place that relies on people going in person for the waitresses and stuff. When like a Chili's can survive because people will just still order Chili's. People aren't ordering Hooters that often off DoorDash or whatever like that.
Yeah,
that's probably where it hurts.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But so rest in peace. I think it's going to be missed. It's one of those ones that, like you guys were saying, was a staple in the NASCAR community. Spider had talked about this earlier. They announced that Joey Logano is replacing Hailie Deegan at Chicago Street Race in the number 15 Ford Mustang for Clutch Vodka. Clutch Vodka on that one. Joey was finished 8th in last year's inaugural street race, and they said they're doing this just to get an idea of where they stand as a team from an equipment standpoint. Is this the end for Hailie Deegan? She's having a disappointing, rookie season in full-time in Xfinity. Does this spell the end? Because this isn't the type of race where I would think they would bring in somebody like Joey, who, like I said, finished 8th last year. If they brought in like SVG or some sort of road ringer to do it to see how the car handles, this doesn't seem like the race where they would do that just for the empirical evidence of how their cars are running. So is this the beginning of the end for Haley, and where does she go after that? Because she's still a marketable young lady. She's a pretty good driver, and I think she does have some backing dollars behind her. What the fuck happens to her?
I don't think this is the end. Am I underwhelmed? Yes. But then again, I mean, I look at her this year, and she had pretty good result at Las Vegas. So I don't think it's fair to say that, what we're seeing right now is the ceiling for her. I do think, as I've said with a lot of these guys, they deserve more time, whether it be Noah Gragson last year in the Cup Series or Zane Smith this year in the Cup Series. And, I mean, nice P2 finish for him this past week. So I don't think this should be it for Haley, especially given that she's a great vehicle herself for these sponsors. I think she has some of the highest engagement on pit road. So in a sport where a lot of these drivers are not expected to win and only expected to kind of carry branding for another company, I think she's doing a fine job at that. And I don't think we know the ceiling of her driving just yet. I could be wrong. I'm sure you guys have wildly different takes, which I'm looking forward to hearing, particularly from Moonhead. So, Travis, I defer to you. What's your take on Haley Deegan? Is this the end for her?
Oh, absolutely not. I do think she gets some unwarranted shit. Obviously, this year's not going well. Trucks really didn't go well, but I don't know. I don't think it's fair to give her shit until we see how Joey does. And that'll also. It's a street course, so I mean, who's to say? Even if a Cup champion goes and runs good at a street course he's run at before, is that really going to explain their problems on the ovals? Is it her? Is it the car? Is it a combination of the two? I don't know. I know Twitter's not a fan of Deegan. I've been reading the replies. The jury's not out there. They've made their mind up, but I'm waiting to see. I mean, who knows? Joey could go run 30th, and then what? Then it's like, oh, maybe it's not Deegan. Maybe this car just sucks.
I know there's a lot of entrants. I think 45 cars have entered to run this race, so there's going to be some people cut. Maybe this is just trying to get them at least into the race. That's a positive. But yeah, I don't think it bodes well for the young lady. We like her. We like Haley. And she's about to get married too, right? I don't think she got married. We met her husband to be a couple of times. Very nice chap. So I hope it works out well, but we'll see. And Joey's like, this is a great opportunity for me because I can help them out. I'll give them as much back as they give to me with this car, and also I'll be able to run the street course a couple of times before the Cup Series on Sunday. So it works out for him. We had just mentioned that the Wood Brothers announcement with Josh Berry. The only other silly season update that I had seen, and maybe you guys had seen something other than this, was Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst talking some shit. He pulled double duty in Nashville and told media there are a lot of options on the table. And not a lot of people can say that, because there's a lot of people looking for jobs. And he's like, there's a lot of options on the table. So we're looking forward to everything and hearing everybody out. And then one of the reporters said, are those Cup options? And he's like, it's in all 3 series. Talk that shit, young man. Like, it's good for him. So Riley Herbst seems like he's very, very confident leaving 24 and going into 25. I think there's a lot of people who certainly aren't that confident, who aren't putting in a pool just yet. What do you think, Spider? What was our final where we think this kid's going to go? I know there was some financing thing with
I wasn't sure. I'm not even privy to what my former take on where Riley Herbst will end up next year was. I'm pretty sure in weeks past I've said that I think he'll remain in Xfinity Series. However, after Nashville this week, throw that take out. I firmly and fully expect Riley Herbst to be racing in the Cup Series next year. I think it's a matter of which team. From what I hear, the sponsorship and funding is all but secured. It's just a matter of figuring out which team in the Cup Series he will be racing for. And as he said in this interview, it sounds like he does have options. So I would assume those options are probably front row or 2311. I am confident and my opinion that I do think he could go to 2311, and that's not as out of reach or off the table as I previously said. I do think Corey Heim is still a good candidate to go there, but like I said, Riley has funding and sponsorship secured, and for a team that just spent a bag on a charter, that's something you're probably going to have to worry about. So like I keep saying, fully expect Riley to be in the Cup Series next year. In the name of silly season also, after Nashville, I fully expect SVG to be in the third Trackhouse car, and I know that might have been a popular take. That might have became unpopular after Zane finished second, but I don't think anything changes. I still expect SVG to be in the third Trackhouse car, and I think Riley Herbst will be Cup racing next year. And I think Cole Custer will remain with Gene Haas or whatever that car, the one from Stuart Haas becomes.
But do you think he's going to move up to the Cup Series
Yes.
and take that
Yep.
Haas Automation
I
one
do.
charter? Yeah.
I do. I think Ryan Preece is probably going to trade and go and take Riley's Xfinity, or Riley or Cole's Xfinity
yeah.
car. I don't know what this means for Noah Gragson. Is he potentially going to be the third driver at Front Row Motorsports? As much as I just said Trackhouse is likely 90% going with SVG, hear me out on this take. And Moonhead, I want you to rebuttal to this. I'd like to see Front Row re-sign Zane Smith. He went his separate ways after pretty successful truck racing with them. He went to Trackhouse or Spire or wherever the fuck he's racing for this year on loan, and now he's seemingly about to be without a seat. Front Row just came into some charters. Do you think that's a good fit?
I mean, yeah. Zane's got funding, so that helps. He could. I don't think he'll be without a ride. I think it's kind of the Herbst question, though, of what series he ends up in. But yeah, I think that'd be a good move. I know a lot of people are kind of shocked he made the jump straight from trucks to Cup, and I feel like it may have hurt his stock a little bit because I don't think he's a bad driver. I mean, he won a lot of truck races, won a championship, all that, and hell, he ran second on Sunday, which I don't know if that really counts, but
Yeah.
Still, I think, I think it'd be a good fit. He'd probably a lot of familiar faces for him. I thought you were gonna. I thought that was going somewhere else.
Yeah, what'd you think my crazy take was going to be?
I thought you were gonna say Noah and SVG were gonna try. I thought you were implying that Trackhouse was gonna pass on SVG, and I was gonna call you crazy. But no, the Zane Smith, that is a good theory. I think that would make sense.
Yeah, I would like to see that happen personally, and it seems like Zane and Todd are friends offside the track, which I don't think that really matters for anything, but for a fan perspective, I think 2025 Spider is going to be one of the biggest Front Row Motorsports fans. I'm already a massive Todd fan, as I hint at every week, so I'm interested to see what they do and filling out their driver lineup for next year. But that's the silly season update from everything I heard at Nashville. Cole Custer to Cup, Riley probably to Cup, and SVG likely in the third Trackhouse car.
I probably should save this for later on in the show, but the way you guys are talking about Zane Smith's finish, was this race one of those asterisk races? Like, sometimes how they put those, Austin Cindric, they ran out of gas. The only reason that Austin had won, like all those things. You can go back. Do you consider what we just saw in Nashville one of those asterisk races? So Zane Smith, finishing P2 is fantastic for that young man. It's fantastic for his team. Ryan Preece getting a P4 is fantastic for him, right? Especially at this point. Daniel Hemrick grabbing another top 10. Like, all those things are good. But is it one of those things where this race was so fucking wild with 5 OTs and people running out of gas and stuff like that, that it was one of those anyone could win sort of super speedway type victories?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. But at the same time, I don't think that discredits Zane Smith's second place finish, because that's just the reality of the sport that we love. It's like that; those things happen. We weren't up in arms and disappointed when Cindric won after running out of gas. We were excited with the finish. So to me, if you're going to be a race fan, that's kind of something that comes with it. So I don't know. That's my take on the situation.
I wouldn't even put an asterisk on Joey for winning it. I would just put an asterisk on a few people's finishing positions, just because I don't know. like it's not even nobody's strategizing for a 5 OT race. So it's not even like good strategy to like be in those spots necessarily. But yeah, just a lot of things flipped in those last like 3, 4, 5 overtimes where it's just people that were running great all race just had to pit, and then the people that pitted in like the early overtimes basically got to swap spots. So some people may have like asterisks on their finishing position, but that's also that's racing.
Well, you're the most negative person on this podcast, so I'm
Yep.
telling you now that Joey Logano winning that race, and Junior talking to him, being like, "That's the type of race where Joey Logano wins," right? Because he sees a little bit of that was pretty good, Junior, by the way. He sees a little bit of madness, and he's able to kind of cut through it and be successful and take advantage of it. If Zane would have won that race, would have been, oh, that kid was right place at the right time. Only because we're going from a 2-time champion to, a rookie. You think, therefore, as the most negative guy in the world, Quicks, you would have put an asterisk on that, at least in your head?
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I'd probably asterisk if Zane won. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the way I don't understand, which maybe I'm wrong, but I don't understand how Joey had the gas to do it.
Nobody does.
Like,
Nobody
he was
does.
on the same... He pitted at the same time as everyone else who, like, 2-3 overtimes earlier were running out of gas.
Yeah, no one has been able to find out exactly. And if Joey was on the show, I'd ask him this tongue in cheek also. No one's been able to find out exactly how they cheated, like whether, how they put that webbing in the glove and they filled it with gasoline and somehow he was able to get into it. Like, nobody knows what had happened to it. So that's another thing. Like, people love to put asterisks on anybody's accomplishments. And I think when you have a wild race like we had this Sunday, it's kind of easy to do. But before we got to Sunday, for the first time since 2012, Christian Eckes led every lap and took the checkered in Friday's truck race. We weren't able to see that because we were just getting into Nashville or something like that. And but to me, that smacks of an extremely boring race, right? I mean, leading from wire to wire like that. So it wasn't a good sign going into the weekend. And then, by the way, I had bet money on that Butterbean kid. He finished 19th. Clint Boyer finished 17th. Our boy Jack Wood actually finished 16th. And then Malcolm in the middle finished 31st. So he did not finish in the middle. Malcolm finished way towards the end. Frankie Muniz.
There you go.
Yeah, no big deal. I finally got that.
We're gonna get you to learn SVG's name next.
Never. I was so disrespectful to those Trackhouse guys we were talking to, Spider. I had a couple drinks in me. Oh, shit. I had a couple drinks in me. I'm on Broadway in Nashville, and I'm walking across the street with Freddie Kraft, Netflix Nick, the guy who's Tyler Reddick's
Nick
guy.
Payne, I believe.
Nick Payne, yeah. I think he was there. A couple of guys who were going from Tootsie's over to Nudies. And Kyle Busch and Samantha had walked out because they must have went by Kurt's party, just for a little bit. We were getting there kind of late and we were kind of banged up. Kyle and Samantha are walking towards me, and I say, "Hey, what's up, Kurt?" And I called him his fucking brother's name. It's just terrible. I got to stop drinking.
I got a story like that. As I was flying out of Nashville, I'm getting to the airport on Monday morning, and I'm going through security, TSA pre-check, and all of a sudden I'm like dragging my bag, looking at the floor, whatever. I pick my head up, and I'm just locking eyes with Ross Chastain. And we went through security together, and the TSA agents at BNA at Nashville Airport pulled everyone's bag off the line, which actually worked out for me because I got to interview Ross Chastain off the record for like 10 minutes post-race the following day, which was great. But shout out Ross. As Large said also, we had Matt and Ty Norris that came by and said hello to us during the race. So very cool to see the Trackhouse guys firsthand at what they call their home track this past weekend in Nashville. So it was really cool to be behind Ross, and fuck TSA for pulling both of our bags off. I tried telling the TSA
that might be
guys.
the Kyle Busch effect.
You know what it was?
Likes to bring the guns to the airport.
It was the reason my bag got pulled, and shout out Vanderhagen. It was the Vanderhagen safety razors.
Safety razor.
Yeah, so they were not letting me fly with that. But yeah, I think Ross had like 14 watermelons in his bag or something. So,
Right.
but after he went away, I told the TSA agents, I was like, dude, that guy almost won the race last night. Like, let him go. Stop giving him a hard time.
How salty was he?
He was like, we had a real shot to win it there at the end.
Okay.
So I don't really know. At that point I didn't know how to react to that. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
seems like-
I wished him safe travels and told him I'd see him in Chicago.
Yeah, because he got neutered a little bit after he threw the punch, and then he hasn't been overly vocal since then. I kind of miss the old Ross days. Like if he would have went over and punched Larson in the face or something, it would have blew up the world. Saturday, John Hunter Nemechek won the Xfinity race in what was a scorcher of the race. And by the way, I keep telling you guys how hot it was down in Nashville. I will say the track was sold out on Sunday. There were a couple of people who were trying to figure out how many people came back after the rain delay. That place was a mob scene.
Yeah,
right?
It was a pretty good retention rate after the rain, and I will say the rain kind of almost made the race better. It cooled Lebanon off tremendously. So it was probably like 10 or 15 degrees cooler after the rainstorm had passed, which made for a way better watching experience.
Yeah, and then Sunday we had the race. We'd gotten there. We were there with Glennie Balls, the king of Nashville. Tommy Smokes was with us, and then two of my favorite people from the Chicago office, Chief and Eddie. So we had a big squad in effect there. A couple of celebrities were with us, none that jump really out at me. We saw Luke Combs, that guy Chase Rice. I don't remember the name of the football player that we were hanging out with.
I don't either, but Johnny Hockey. Hayes, a lot of the NHL guys.
I saw Hannah Dasher.
We saw, yep.
My Dolly Parton was there, and a couple other people. So it was a good time. It was a good time in Nashville all the way around. And the racing was, obviously, it got wild towards the end. But one of the things that I thought was kind of cool, and Bob Pockris had reported it first, that when they went in for the rain delay, there was some fans put out on the track to sort of dry off the pit boxes. And one of the Penske teams had aimed the fan at the car, at Cindric's car. So Cindric's team had a fan in the pit box trying to dry the box, and according to NBC, NASCAR felt the fan was too close to the car and it could have been cooling it. So Cindric restarted at the rear. That's why I'm wondering how the fuck Joey did everything with the gas tank. Cindric using the illegal fans, allegedly, Joey with the web gloves, and all of a sudden he has more gas than anyone has ever had in the history of the world. I don't know.
Didn't Cindric cause a late race caution too?
Oh, yeah,
yeah. So I don't know. He's got a fucking magnifying glass.
I'm also so dumb that I read that story earlier and thought it was like a patron, like a fan. Like somebody
was out there blowing.
Somebody hopped over the fence and was just helping the team clean off the pit box.
Yeah,
which I think that should be legal.
Yeah. Me drunkenly jumping over the fucking barrier wearing a number 2 shirt, just blowing on.
I want to see Large in one of those tinfoil looking aprons that the gas men wear. You need to just start wearing that to the track.
Yeah, I should.
It happened once. Not with it was a fan, but not cooling the car off at Martinsville. Someone let a VIP guest sponsor fan, whoever it was, catch tires, and the dumbass just hurtled over the wall. They pointed at the tire and he jumped over onto a live pit road to grab the tire.
That's awesome.
It was a whole big thing. Yeah.
Oh, Hardy did the drivers start your engines, and he said, "Gentlemen, start your engines," which, being seasoned grand marshals, Spider, it's a huge fucking no-no.
I love it. I wish I had the balls to do it.
I didn't. And plus I missed that part of the call because I wasn't paying attention. But very rarely do you see that. But he sort of did the Kevin James yelling into a microphone thing pretty well. I thought he did a good job. And he did "Gentlemen, start your engines." I don't know if he gets a slap on the wrist. I know we would have gotten it. The race itself, Chris Bell dominated. I had Chris Bell on my card, and he swept the first 2 stages. And a lot of people coming back from the rain delay thought that he was just going to sweep the whole race a la Christian Eckes. But that's not the way that it worked out. And we had a wild 5 overtime, record 5 overtime at 5 overtime things at Nashville. People are complaining about it. Some people aren't complaining about it. What's the final? What's the final as far as Rubbin' racing is concerned? Should they limit the amount of overtimes? Should they do away with overtimes altogether and say, hey, after we get to the 300, the 400, the 500, we just end the race? Or do they just let it go and do as many fucking overtimes as it takes to get this race done? Because I'm telling you, if Quiggs does vote for unlimited overtimes, it's sort of hypocritical for him to then put an asterisk on these overtime wins, kind of. You know what I mean? So, and that's not coming at you, Quigs, at all. I'm just saying that it does have a lot to do with the quality of these wins. So
I agree with you.
Go ahead.
Well, I agree with you, but it also won't stop me from being a hypocrite.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was a good way to limit them, like when it gets to 3, but I don't know what else you could do. Like, I don't know what the solution of, like, once it hits this number of overtimes, we're doing this that will absolutely finish the race. I think you have to just have unlimited overtimes, and it doesn't happen that often that we're getting 5, 6, but that the gas situation was just set up for a lot of overtimes because there's a lot of cars staying out in the front that were either trying to conserve a little or were running out of gas and stacking people up behind them. But I think you leave OT as it is and make it unlimited, but if there was a better solution for a easier way to get a clear-cut, fair winner, maybe do that, but I don't think there is, unless you guys have any ideas.
No, I agree with Quiggs. I think you have to do it unlimited. To me, when you mentioned, like, is there an asterisk on Zane Smith finishing second? Mm-hmm. I said no, because I feel like that's just the way these races go sometimes. On the flip side of that, cashing on William Byron rain-shortened Atlanta win, or there was another one that I had this year, Christopher Bell maybe. Yeah. That to me seems an asterisk. So, like, I respect and appreciate, and my end goal is always for NASCAR to do everything to get the full race in. You guys heard my take following a rain-shortened Coke 600, how disappointed I was. Like, so I am very pro line them up, finish the race, do what you got to do. To me, from that point, and I will agree, I do agree with the critics, like, this one got sloppy. 5 overtime restarts is, at that point, it's like, guys, figure it out. But my complaint is with the drivers. It's like, you guys are the best drivers in the world. Fucking clean it up and finish it, get this race finished. Not with NASCAR saying, hey, we're going to just keep doing restarts until we get this sorted. So it's on the drivers from there to clean it up.
Yeah,
how hard is it to stay clean for 2 laps?
I mean, it's hard when it's like, hey, guys, you have 2 laps to like
determine the finish
to
position.
Win this race and get as many spots as you can. Like, they're not going to be just relaxing and driving like it's 50 to go. Like, you can't blame the drivers for getting aggressive in situations like that.
Do you think it would have been this sloppy if we would have ran this race towards the beginning of the season? And again, very, very long season. We know about that. And every week we ask, is it panic time? Is it panic time? Last week it seemed like that definitively had become panic time. If you didn't have a win, or if you were off the the cut line by more than 50 points, then it's, you need a win to get into the playoffs. So the desperation has ramped up in the last week or so. You think that's what added to this thing being such a sloppy mess? That, from a casual fan, was fun to watch. I couldn't even keep track of what was going on, particularly with Larson having those Furiosa moments during the fucking thing and then running out of gas. It was infinitely entertaining to watch. But do you think it was kind of a product of where we are in the NASCAR season?
Yeah, I mean, the deeper you get in the season, the more the positions and the wins. But I truly think it was the gas thing. One, with what I was saying, where it's kind of the people out front can run out of gas or are kind of conserving a tiny bit as much as you can in an OT thing. But also, which I don't want to accuse anyone of this, but there has to be a mindset of, if you're in 10th place and know that 7 of the guys in front of you, if this goes to another overtime, have to pit, I think maybe you're not necessarily wrecking anyone, but you don't mind making aggressive moves or moves that might lead to maybe people getting caught up and it going to another overtime. Like, another overtime is gold for you if you're in that position. And so I think it was just a lot of like that strategy and the way you're racing when half the field doesn't have enough gas for another overtime. It's like, how many times could we cycle through this to move up?
Even like McDowell last week, though. Low percentage move. I had to fucking make it.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of seeing a lot of that.
I think,
here
yeah,
towards
just
the
a
end.
lot more low percentage moves being made when that's
Moon,
the case.
unlimited overtimes or cut it off or no overtimes at all?
Everybody freaks out like this. They've never gone to 5 before. This was unprecedented. It was wild. It was exciting. I wish people would enjoy a shit show every once in a while. Like I know, like if it was like that every week, I'd be like, okay, we need to do something. But like, we'll probably won't see anything like that again for years. Like that was awesome. They were just wrecking the shit out of each other the whole time. It was wild. Was it great racing? No. Did a lot of people get robbed of finishes they probably deserved? Absolutely. Like I was rooting for Kyle Busch, so I was on that front. I was mad. I also want to say I called myself an idiot. I bet Hemrick top 10 at Iowa, and then he ran like dog shit last, and then he ran 9th this week. So that's how it goes. So I was upset about that. But no, don't limit it. Don't. I think if anything, they should offer incentives for getting that high, because that was an exciting race to watch.
Are you guys excited about the biggest rivalry in sports now that it's officially a rivalry with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson? They didn't want to put a name on it, but apparently that's what they had done this week. I don't think it's going to, maybe live up to some of the classic rivalries that old school NASCAR fans are used to, going all the way back to like Senior and Bodine. But how do you guys feel about these two guys being an official rivalry? What does that do? Is they pass each other in the hallway on the way to the drivers' meeting? Right when you put a name on it, then all of a sudden it becomes real. And Denny seems to be about that smoke on accidents detrimental. He's like, yeah, if this is the way we're going to race, let's fucking race this way and see how it goes. I don't think Kyle is going to be as aggressive when he talks about that, but he certainly did let what his spotter had said last week sink in, because there was a different Kyle Larson on the track this week. How do you guys feel about this biggest rivalry in sports as far as we're concerned, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson?
I think it's exciting bait for the rest of the season. Two of the best drivers, two of the championship favorites going head to head, and now having a rivalry. The pot's probably going to boil over at some point, and if I'm guessing, I think it will probably be Denny does something to Larson. Larson's race or day is ruined. He freaks out. He gets upset. The internet explodes. And then Larson will probably tuck his tail and just be responsible and conservative with the rest of the season while being like, fuck Denny Hamlin. That's how I see it going. I'm not going to get super excited for this and paint this as some Yankees-Red Sox rivalry that is soon to be, because if history shows us anything, it's just like what I said, like something will transpire and then Larson will try to extinguish the fire and just take the L instead of like go back at Denny Hamlin. So that's what I see coming of this, but I don't think it's going to be all it's cracked up to be.
Let me ask the question then real quick, Spider, because I think I might be contrarian with this. 3 1-minute rounds, 16-ounce gloves, Denny Hamlin versus Kyle Larson at Rough and Rowdy in West Virginia on August 8th. Who wins?
I mean, Denny should win. I don't know if that's a hot take. He does have the size advantage. He's bigger. That being said, he's also older. But I don't know who. I would probably put a little bit of my money on Denny, but I would say the line would probably be like Denny minus 150, Larson plus 110, something like that.
Yeah, it's tight, right? And Denny's a good athlete. Like we talked to some of the guys in Hoop Group. We were spending a little bit of time with Ron, Red Rocks Ron this weekend.
Yep.
I was talking to some dude who played at the Citadel who like lights up their Hoop Group league. So Denny is allegedly an elite pickleball player. Just ask him. And hoops and the whole deal. And it's extremely competitive, as is Kyle Larson. That's a more intriguing matchup for me.
Yeah.
Those two guys go, I don't know why I'm going this way. You know what I mean? But it is what it is.
Larson just seems too non-confrontational for me to want to take him in a fight. Every time there's something happens, he's on the receiving end of it, whether it be Denny pushing him around or Bubba Wallace literally pushing him around, and Larson's hands were just at his hips, just taking it. Now, I understand there may be some other, optics going into that, but I don't know if there's one problem. Well, if there's two problems with Kyle Larson for me, it's that one, the elephant in the room, and then two being that he's never really confrontational and he's not aggressive when I think he needs to be.
I think Denny wins a boxing match. I feel like if this was MMA, Kyle Larson would be just like a master of like grappling technique.
Yeah.
Like he would be
Khabib.
one of those
Chokeholds.
Dagestanis that like train night and day and are just like so technical. And if he gets you on the ground, he's just gonna go to work on you.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, it's like Larsenov. Like I always bet on people with a V in their last name whenever I bet on UFC. You're the last word, Moonhead. Who do you like in a fight, Denny versus Kyle? And how do you feel about the rivalry, particularly in comparison to some rivalries that you've seen throughout the years?
Love the rivalry. It kind of reminds me of Dale and Rusty way back in the day, where they're friends off the track but fierce rivals on the track. That being said, in a fight, I think Denny would kick his ass. And I think Larson would give the same answer, though. Like, he's not a fighter, and he admits it.
Yeah, it's probably the way to go. Did Carson Hocevar lose his fucking mind? Like, I know it was 130 in those cars at some point, but Carson Hocevar, under caution, obviously he had molested Harrison Burton, who's not having a banner past couple of weeks, gets fined $50,000 and 25 playoff points. Like, I know that sometimes when my kids do something wrong from a dad's perspective, and makes my wife angry, and I say, just go make it right with your mom. And sometimes, particularly my sons, will be like, how do I do that? And I'll be like, unless you think this is a lie, just say, Mom, I lost my mind. I just lost my mind for a second. So that's why, I took your car keys and I crashed it into a tree or something. Just say you lost your fucking mind. And this kind of reminds me of that a little bit, because Carson Hocevar I like, and I really like him on social media. I talked about his interactions with Jeff Gluck with the poll every week and whatnot. So it seems a little bit out of character. But do you think the kid just lost his fucking mind? And do you think this hurts him? Like, he wasn't out of contention for Rookie of the Year. Right? It seemed like it's a 2-horse race between him and Josh Berry. Does this put him out of contention for that, do you think? Like, how do you think this happens with Carson? Because it is a pretty real fine, $50K and 25 points. So what's our feelings on that? You have any kind of I don't know, insight? I'll go with you, Spidey Scoops, because you seem like you have the insight on this shit.
Yeah, it's dumb as fuck. I mean, I really came to like Carson Hocevar this year. I think he did a great job campaigning for his All-Star vote. He's been very likable, as you said, Large, on social media with the shitty posts. I have been a Carson Hocevar guy. That being said, fuck him. This week he's in the doghouse. I can't defend what we saw. I mean, you're under caution. He put Todd Gilliland into the wall like twice, and then they finally get the restart going, and he just dumps Harrison Burton under caution, wrecks his day, ruins his day, wrecks his car. I don't know. Carson Hocevar, he's got all the talent in the world, he's got all the hype in the world, all the potential in the world, and he's going to do some dumb shit like this. I understand he's a young kid, but this is a relatively easy problem to fix. Like, just stop being an asshole, and you won't have to deal with this criticism, is my take. He's a good enough driver. He's the best driver on his team this year. He's very much competing for Rookie of the Year, and then he hurts himself and shoots himself in the foot doing some stuff like this. Keep your composure. I've been hard on Kyle Busch for this very thing earlier on this show in the last couple weeks, and now it's Carson Hocevar's turn. There's no room for this. He ruined Harrison Burton's day, and I'm of the opinion, if you could get Todd Gilliland pissed and to say the things that we heard on that radio, you really have had to fuck up. So I'm taking Todd and Harrison's side on this one, and from what I understand, they're good friends off the track. It's great for me to see that they have each other's backs on the track too, and I don't think Todd was unreasonable when he said, fuck this guy, I hate him. I don't know if he said that verbatim. I might be putting words in his mouth, but if there's a side to pick, I'm going with Todd, Harrison, the Fords, not the bow ties and Carson Hocevar. As much as I have spoken highly of Carson Hocevar on this show in weeks past, today he's getting his criticism. And in the name of Denny versus Kyle Larson, who do you want to see in a fight? Todd Gilliland and Carson Hocevar are two of the biggest, tallest guys on pit road. I want to see them throw hands, and I'll answer the question right now. Todd Gilliland kicks that motherfucker's ass. Todd is way thicker than Carson. Carson might be tall, but he's He's got my build. We're both skinny boys. I want to see Todd fucking land a haymaker on him, and this is the rivalry that I can't wait to watch.
Yeah,
I'll hang up and listen. Moonhead, Moonhead, it looks like you got a contrarian take that I can't wait to hear. Please.
He's a moon car driver. I got to support Hocevar.
Okay.
He was standing on business. And I think the fine is absurd. $50,000. He should have made sure that motherfucker hit something hard. Because if it's going to cost me $50,000, I would have front and reared it. But, I mean, I don't know. Nobody, I guarantee you people think twice before they fuck with Hocevar on the track.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's got that going for him.
Do you think that's true, or you think Carson Hocevar learned his lessons and never does this again? Particularly, like, so you have a guy who's Hocevar, friendly, like Spider, and he's like, I'm going to take a week off. Let the kid calm down. You're not saying that you're putting this kid in a penalty box forever, but
no, he's in the doghouse for this week, now, maybe a week or two.
It's a fucking under, right? At the very least, it's a fucking under because my wife tends to forgive the kids too. They flash the dimples or put out more baby pictures, whatever they need to do, and then she calms down. Do you think he learns his lesson and doesn't do anything like this again? Because he did it with Harrison Burton. There are people that he could have done this to that he would have been fucked if he would have. You know what I mean? So, I
think he's going to have to learn his lesson. His team is not in a position where they can afford these penalties recurringly. So, as much as what Moonhead just said kind of talked me off a ledge in my Fuck Carson Hocevar campaign, he can't do this regularly. I don't think the team is going to be satisfied or thrilled. And as I said, I've been on this show prepared to call him the number one prospect in NASCAR, the guy that I think has the highest ceiling actively currently. And that doesn't go away, but I remain of the opinion his team it should not be okay or allow this to be make a habit of this or a recurring issue because, as I just said, they can't afford to have this happen regularly.
Yeah, sounds good. By the way, I love the rough and rowdy thread that we're putting throughout the rest of this thing.
Yeah, honestly, we've had spicy takes on both sides, and I still honestly don't even know where I stand right this moment.
Kill Harrison Burton, Carson Hocevar, Todd Gilliland. Like, that's creepy. And I'll admit that, and nobody wants to know that. But I think when you put these guys in the squared circle and I still say the only person that I wouldn't want to see across the
What's that crinkling noise, man?
I think
is
playing with
BJ
candy.
McLeod. That crinkling noise was a thing of double bubble. I was about to pop in a piece of gum. Honest to God, I'm recording from home, and I actually have a water bottle next to me.
You're too comfortable.
And somebody, the Amazon driver comes is going to shoot my dogs. So, yeah, I'm starting to get a little comfortable with it. All right, so before we go on, Spider and I and Quiggs are going to be in Chicago this week. We'll talk to you guys about that all around. But one of the things that we're doing in Chicago is we're going to spend a little bit of time with Tyler Reddick before he throws out the first pitch for the Cubs game. So it's a wacky schedule to Rubbin is Racing. If you're listening to us, we had dropped a piece of content that you can catch on our socials or on our Rumble YouTube pages and stuff, where Spider did a drive-through of the road course, of the street course, with Brad Kay. It was sort of like a blind date, Brad Kay and Spider, and then they got to meet each other, hop into the car, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, Spider, but Brad Kay is a fucking gem of a guy, correct? We've never had him on this show. We don't really know him that well, but what was your takeaways with Brad?
Yeah, no, he's a beauty. It's funny because I was saying to either Large or Quiggs, I don't know which one of you, the day that I got that text, like 4 hours before I received the text, like, we've never done anything with Brad Kay. I don't know why I'm just realizing that now. I would love to do something with him. And then a couple hours went by and I got the text inviting me to go to that street to do the street course thing. So it was very cool, perfect timing. And he couldn't have been a nicer guy. I thought he gave some interesting answers. It was cool getting to see his musical taste and stuff like that. His first take on what the Chicago street race after that announcement. And I appreciate Brad for giving us the time. Probably annoying for him to have to come to Chicago a week before the race. And even ahead of when he left for the Nashville race to come and do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I appreciate NASCAR for that has always been one of the best things, is the access. So being able to get access like that firsthand is really cool. And hopefully we can do more stuff like that in the future. I mean, this podcast is a great once a week medium for us to get off some spicy, crazy takes, as you just heard from all of us. But I do really appreciate and want to do more of getting out and seeing firsthand, whether it be the team shops, whether it be getting in a car with these guys, seeing the road courses or wherever, how they build the LA Clash, whatever it may be. So hopefully we can do a lot more of that in the coming weeks. And subscribe, make sure you don't miss any of it.
We talk on Barstool a lot about who the king of the South is. Ben Mintz versus Brandon versus somebody else. Spider and I got to meet a kid who's the true king of the South down in Nashville. Kid's name is Bear. He's 3 years old. His name is Bear. He had just an absolutely gorgeous mullet. He doesn't own shorts that aren't made of denim, and he doesn't own a T-shirt that doesn't have the sleeves cut off. And he's the true king of the South. My point is Spider slowly becoming the king of NASCAR? Because like doing a private ride around with Brad Kay, going to a dinner with the France family, probably an intimate little soiree too. And it's not a huge work thing, right? Like Spider, this isn't a heavy lift. It's not like Pacris camping out, in the rain and all that kind of shit. You just casually get to do this stuff. And I'm going to ask you, Quiggs, is this asshole slowly becoming, and I'm talking about Spider, is he slowly becoming the fucking king of NASCAR?
He is. I mean, that's what Spider does. Spider, can just get into any niche and hang out with any group of people and quickly just work his way up the ladder and just get more access to more things. And yeah,
I think I'd be a good
He's doing a great job of that. You would be a good spy.
Yeah, I could or like a detective or something, like FBI agent. Just like you said, get in some place and just start working on obtaining information.
Yeah, and it's going to keep going. So what I was alluding to is that we're taping this on the 3rd. I get in Friday morning early to Chicago. Spider and I are and Quiggs, I'm sorry, the three of us are immediately going to meet up with Tyler Reddick. So we're in Chicago with Tyler Reddick on Friday before he throws out the first pitch at the Cubs game that afternoon. And we've taped an interview with him. I'm looking into the future. And so we're about to go 3 wide with Tyler Reddick in Chicago, and we got that for you guys right now. So as promised, we're here in the beautiful DraftKings Sportsbook in Wrigleyville with one of the first people that we ever spoke to on Rubbin Racing.
That's right.
And one of the most generous drivers on the circuit right now, and one of our favorite people in the world. That's all I'm going to say good about him. It's Tyler Reddick, driver the number 45 for a 2311. Tyler, how you doing, my man?
Doing all right.
Are you nervous? Because you're
very
here
nervous.
to throw out the first pitch.
I was nervous about the interview. I just didn't want to mess the interview up.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
pitch, I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, but we're standing here on broken glass, wondering just how bad you could screw this up. But I don't know. Are you a sneaky good baseball player? Throwing out. It's beautiful day.
I don't think
vacation.
I have. The conditions are on my side, but I don't know how this is going to go.
No.
Yeah.
So 60 feet and 6 inches. And since we're standing in the DraftKings Sportsbook, Spider and I are going to make a line somewhere along this interview on how confident we are that you're going to make it to the plate, whether you'll throw a ball or a strike. So we'll try and get that from the field from you now. But you were there last year catching for Bubba. And Bubba, I think it was Kurt Busch was behind, ruled it a strike. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Very, very
Yeah,
generous.
just fair umpire, yeah.
Is it worse that now you have a comp with a teammate? You can do worse than Bubba, or is it better because you know you're going to smoke this guy and put one right down the pipe?
You never know what can happen. Anything can happen, right? A miracle could take place, and it's a perfect throw. But I think more than anything, I just want to make sure it goes in the direction of home plate, and hopefully at least gets there. There'll probably be a ball, though.
So we're here in Chicago for the Chicago Street Race, obviously. You spent a lot of time growing up in Illinois. I know you were born in California, but a lot of time spent here. Now driving for Michael Jordan's team, 2311. How much would a win here in Chicago mean for you personally?
Well, it would mean a lot for me personally, absolutely. There's even more to the story, right? Like a year ago, we were here, and I think we were in really good shape. We were running the leaders down, 30-lap pressure tires, and I stuffed in the tire barrier all by myself. Pretty much, I mean, I thought we were in great shape to win the race. Certainly we still had to go past those guys, but we were much faster than they were. That's the nature of a street course. When you make a mistake on some ovals, you can hit the wall, end your day, or hurt your car a little bit. Other road courses we go to, you have plenty of runoff. You can go off the track here, there, wherever. But on a street course, you've got tire packs and concrete barriers. There's no room for error. And so that's what that obviously made leaving this race really sting, knowing that we were right there. We had a lot of things get thrown our way with the rain, with the race shortening. We still found a way through all that to have an opportunity. And for me to make that mistake was a hard pill to swallow, to be honest with you. So, yeah, obviously seeking redemption this Sunday, but it's really, really cool that, we got Jordan Brand on the car, the scheme that we're running with the Chicago Skyline on the car, with MJ on the car. It's really cool.
I didn't even have this one written, but it seems like now as you're getting to be more, I don't know, the more time you spend in the Cup Series, you have been harder on yourself. Like we mentioned when you first came in and we said hello to you, when you got out of the car in Nashville, you were legitimately upset. And even the young lady who was interviewing you said, well, you said you wanted to get some top fives, and you're almost like, get away from me. I wanted to win this race type thing. Do you find that you're putting more pressure on yourself as you're the elder statesman, at 2311, right? You're the guy, I think, and I think everyone would agree with that. Like, how much pressure are you putting on yourself as opposed to years previous?
I think the same amount of pressure is there. It's just not every time after a race gets away am I, like Chicago. I don't think I got interviewed after that race. My outward appearance would have been very, very similar, and what I'm thinking inside was not too different. It's just one of those situations where like a day didn't really end as planned, and we still got interviewed. So it's a tough battle. There's a fine line there, right? You can be a little too extreme, but in my experience, I've generally learned the most from the situations and been able to be in a better spot coming back. But certainly, it's a tough balance. You got to be able to shake it off, and certainly I've kind of had this policy by 3 p.m. on Monday when we're done having every single meeting, debriefing the race, that I'm moved on and ready to go into the next weekend.
Your first win in the Cup Series came at Road America right around this time of year, 4th of July weekend a couple of years ago. Since then, you had wild success racing on road courses. You're basically a road course ringer. What do you think the secret has been to that success?
There's not really a secret. It's just hard work.
Yeah.
I think, there's no thinking about it. I, without a doubt, was one of the worst Cup Series drivers when I came in on the road courses. We'd run 35th, hit everything, miss shifts, just have poorly executed races, and filled with a lot of mistakes on my behalf. So going into the off season of my first Cup season, I made it the focal point to improve on road courses. How much I was going to improve, I didn't really know, but we put so much time and effort into just working on my consistency, understanding what makes a good lap, what things do I really have to focus on. And we came back the next next February, and it was a huge difference. We went from being like one of the worst 6 drivers to one of the best 6 drivers. Right. So it was really, really cool. I mean, it's not always a guarantee that when you work really, really hard on something, you're gonna all of a sudden be really good at it, but it was very rewarding that was the case for myself.
So follow-up question then, obviously road course racing, you've now become way better at, as you just outlined. What is the one thing you're working on improving currently? Is there anything that you think is a weakness that you're going to spend your off season or sim time trying to be better at?
Well, I think, we went to Circuit of the Americas early in the year. Yeah. And, we had a different downforce package, we have the cymbal diffuser now, some other changes, I think a little bit taller rear spoiler, but a lot of the downforce on this car is made through the underbody. And with that cymbal diffuser, there's a lot less total and rear downforce. And so when we went to COTA this year, we, just not our normal selves in the braking zones. So we knew that we were going to have to focus on that. I think it's really important at a lot of the road courses that you go to, because if your car isn't stopping efficiently and it's sliding the rear tires, you're just going to burn your tires up and you're going to lose speed, you're going to lose pace and handling. So We actually had a test at Watkins Glen, I think a week and a half ago, and maybe actually a week ago exactly, or somewhere in there. So we did a tire test for Goodyear there, working on a tire for when we race in the playoffs there. And I feel like we made some good improvements on our car. So that's been the big focal point, is just trying to figure out what we've kind of been missing with this new downforce package.
I've been pretty vocal, more than Spider, about how much I dislike Shane Van Gisbergen. Not dislike him, I don't trust him. I feel like big handsome Kiwis are coming over here. They're going to rob us of all these cup victories. You know what I mean? Then they're going to go after our women, and then take over.
Well, I
the
think
world.
he's already said he's got a lady. I think he's good
does,
there.
yeah.
But he definitely
just
wants to win races.
But even that football thing is adorable. It's a really nice
Adorable?
thing.
I think
don't
it's
know
cool.
what it is. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, whatever. Do you feel that as a patriot, and you're a good American, should you send him into the wall at some point just to teach this guy a little bit of manners and say that, hey, you're only going to be able to do this shit in the Cup Series when it's pouring rain? Otherwise, Tyler Reddick is not letting you win this race. Would you do that for me as an American and as a friend?
I can't.
You can't?
I mean, I really think his mindset coming over here is in a great place. The way that he's raced guys like Austin Hill or some of these others. Yep. I mean, the way he went about winning the race here a year ago. I mean, I already had a huge amount of respect for what he did in the V8 supercars in Australia, and his background, his dirt background. I knew a little bit about him coming in, and how he's gone about racing the Xfinity Series, the way he races very respectfully, but if someone's going to dish it out, he's not afraid to give it back. So I think he's gone about it in a great way, and he's certainly impressed me with how fast he's been learning and improving on the ovals. So I like Shane a lot. I know you're kind of wanting me to pin against him, but
I was trying to bait you.
He's I think he's got a great mindset, and I feel like we could all learn a little bit about how he handles on track.
And he's good for the sport.
Yes.
Yeah, he really is good for the sport. Now, would you ever think about doing something over there, like going over there and robbing some super car, whatever? The hell it is?
Larson, in the winter months would go over there and run dirt cars. A friend of mine, Bobby Pierce, would go over there and run I don't think they call them late models, but they look a lot like it. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to go over there and do that during the winter, but that's our 2-month break, right? Is in the winter, so. And I don't know how Alexa would like that. Like, hey, we finally get a break. We can be home. Let's just hop on a plane for 16 hours and go to Australia. Yeah. So I want to do it one day, but I'm scared if I go to Australia, I won't want to leave. It seems so nice down there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of going international, it seems like NASCAR has toyed with the idea of maybe going south to Mexico, maybe Mexico City race, or even north, something like Montreal or Canada. What's your take on that? And if you could pick a spot outside of where we currently race at to add to the Cup Series schedule, what would you pick?
Selfishly, I would love for us to go race in Japan. They did the twin ring Matigi race way back when. It sounded like I wasn't around for it, right? But I've heard stories about it. It seemed like a great time. I've always been a fan of leaving the country, but with what I do for a living, it's hard to find the time to do it. So for me, I would love to race at all these different places. I think obviously there's a lot of really historic road course facilities all across the world. And I feel like what we have with the next gen car gives us that opportunity to go tap into new racing environments that we couldn't really do with the previous generation stock cars.
As a guy, 28-year-old guy, right? You're 28? Mm-hmm. So you see guys, so last year watching Kevin Harvick walk away from Cup, right? And then this year seeing Martin Truex do the same thing, different timing, but how's that affect you? As a guy who's been watching those guys for a long time, you finally got the opportunity to drive alongside of them, finally got the opportunity to be extremely competitive and beat them in a ton of cases. Like, how do you feel about this passing of the torch?
It's an odd feeling, right? Like I said, I've grown up watching these guys compete, dreamed of getting to compete with them. And it's a wonderful experience to be able to compete with drivers that surely are Hall of Fame bound, the things that they've accomplished. Very talented race car drivers coming from different backgrounds. And yeah, it's a weird feeling, right? Like everyone that you dream of racing against one day when they start to retire, it's like, it's a conflicting feeling. It's part of you is like, man, I'm so glad in some ways that Kevin and Martin are stepping away, because maybe now someone like me will have a shot at winning at places like Richmond or some of those places they're really good at. But at the same time, when they're stepping away, it's like, oh man, I'm getting older. I've done this think this is year 5 or year 6 I've been in the Cup Series, and I was just dreaming as a kid just to be able to run one Daytona 500 or one NASCAR race. So it's just time passes, and before you know it, like all the guys that legends of the sport retire, it's an odd feeling watching it kind of turn over like it has been recently.
But it's going to be kind of cool then, like with all the talk about Martin running the Daytona 500, perhaps with you guys next season, to sort of then get him on almost like a victory lap and be a teammate, at least for one race, right? It's
Well,
gonna be
I mean,
exciting.
that's one thing that's always been really great about the Toyota racing family is, unlike other manufacturers that I've been a part of, we don't have the large amount of numbers that some of the other manufacturers may have, but how close that the drivers work together and how fairly they treat each other on the racetrack, I think means a lot. And it's something that I had to learn, coming into it last year for my first year. But everyone treats each other really well. I feel like there's just a higher understanding of racing each other with respect. And Martin's always been one of those guys in particular. If you're going to race him badly, he has no problem dishing it back out. But he's one of those guys that if there's give and take and respect there on the racetrack, it goes a long way. So that's just the mindset that we've seen with a lot of these veterans. And as they go away, I feel like the younger guys coming in just get more and more extreme and aggressive. So it's kind of an odd thing watching, our Cup Series racing change as some of the vets step away.
Like Carson lost his mind. Hocevar lost his mind. And I tried to explain it on the podcast. Like sometimes when my kids do that, I say, go apologize to your mom and say, listen, we legitimately lost our minds for a couple of minutes. So you see that youth influx. I don't know, it kind of scares me at times, coming from an old guy. And these aren't old men. Martin's not an old guy. Harvick still's got a little bit in the tank. So I'm very sad to see these two guys go in particular.
Absolutely.
Us as drivers, we just got to step up to the plate and let our personalities show on the public stage, be ourselves. And, I think there's no doubt that all of us can race really, really hard and go the extra mile. But, I think it's important for us to have some respect amongst ourselves because, if we just go into the corner and dump each other all the time, it's not a great show. We got to be able to have enough respect for one another to race hard, but, rub a little bit. Rubbin's racing right.
Damn
exactly right, but not dumping each other.
So Danny Hamlin, 2311 team owner, has obviously been chasing his own championship. And in the pursuit of that, he has adopted the trademark All In. Is there a slogan that Tyler Reddick and the 45 team has, or is there maybe still working on that? Or we can always follow up. I'll do some brainstorming as well and send you my ideas. But I was just curious to know if there's kind of a motto for your team this year.
We don't have like a motto like that.
Okay.
It's something we should certainly work on.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any ideas?
No, Charlie actually asked me that before. Or I asked him, do you have a motto? So we'll work on that. We'll get back to you. But
I wanted you to kick a football into the stands every time he won, but then he stole that too. You'd mentioned stuff.
I could throw a scooter in the stands, maybe.
Yeah, you got the scooter thing.
Yeah.
You do sneakers all the time.
you throw Jordans in the stands. That would have the crowd
Jordans
going
would be
crazy.
better than tape up a box of Jordans and throw them in the
Yeah.
stands.
Stupid football. You mentioned about drivers showing some of their personality. We had mentioned on the show, we'd given you Nobody's Cooler 2 weeks ago when you put on the Hamburglar costume, right? And you ran their Hamburglar scheme. I thought it was very, very cool. Not a lot of people are willing to be silly, particularly, athletes. I think Chase Elliott's putting on a Hamburglar costume. You're willing to show a silly side. And I think it's such a benefit for the people watching NASCAR and for your sponsors. Is that something you approach them, or is it something where they come to you and be like, Tyler, listen, I don't know if you're up for this, but what's the give and take there?
Yeah, I think it just depends on the person, right? I'm always willing to do something a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always kind of been me when I was a kid growing up. I was always just running around wild. I see a lot of the same things out of my son, Bo. He's just full of energy. So, yeah, I feel like we ran that car in Homestead, it was just casual conversation. If we ever do this again, I'd love to, have the suit, dress up as him. And as we got closer to Iowa a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't say I can't take, I was like, hey, if you guys want to do it, I'll do it. I'd love to do it. So I can't take full credit for it. There's a lot of people that have to design the suit, get the props there. But something like that, I just love the idea of it, and I'm glad it all happened.
I think it's almost universally loved. The only thing I will say that wasn't was the mustache. for throwback weekend. That was disgusting. Never do that again.
You should have seen the first version of it, like
When you first
6-7 years ago when I ran his another throwback to his when I was at Junior Motorsports. That mustache was awful. I thought this one wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a redhead. I can only do so much.
Yeah, but still, it goes right to porn.
The redhead matched the Hamburglers. Like, look down to it was side by side. You guys look perfect next to each other.
Yeah, that hat I had was a legit prop hat. So me and my crew chief Billy Scott were trying to get foam around the brim so it wouldn't fly off my head in the wind we had that day. But I had a lot of fun with it. It was a good day.
Should we expect MJ at the track this week? You think he'll be coming? How does that work? Does he give you forewarning, like, hey, Tyler, I'm going to be at the race this weekend, give him hell? Or do you not find out until you're in the car driving?
It's kind of just, it's happened a few different ways. Sometimes I know he's going to be there. I know a couple days or weeks out. Like when we were at Talladega, I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention, but I didn't know he was there until we finished the race and crossed the start-finish line. And my crew chief, Billy Scott, said he was there. So I don't know about this weekend. I haven't heard anything. Maybe he's going to be here, maybe not. I'm looking at my boss, Steve, and he's not giving me anything. He's just smiling at me.
I like
so
it. Keep it
I'm
up
not really sure. Yeah.
Awesome. And while we're on Talladega, how cool was that celebrating with, obviously, the top boss? I mean, Denny's cool too, but no one rivals Michael Jordan. How cool was it having him there to celebrate your win with you?
It was so cool. I mean, there was a lot going on, but just seeing the photos for me as a dad, seeing Bo and Michael carrying him around and so happy and in the moment enjoying it. That was probably the coolest part about it all. But yeah, it was so great to have him there. Me and Bubba have been trying for a very long time. When the weekends he's been there, they've looked so promising. We've had the speed. It looks like it could be the day. And when it hasn't worked out, it's disheartening, right? But it was really, really cool that in a place as chaotic as Talladega, we were able to get it done and take him to victory lane.
You think there's tracks or trophies that he wants to win on more? Like, does MJ have a favorite track that he likes attending?
Championships.
I should have known a guy like him.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I had for you, Tyler. We wish you the best of luck in your championship pursuit.
I want to hit you with one thing. Getting married. Getting married, congratulations.
Thank you.
How much of a distraction is that? Thinking that she could back out at any time because she's truly your better half. It's not even close.
I thought she was right there, but
I will ask you a final question. We usually do some inappropriate stuff on the show where we make people say stuff they shouldn't say. I'm going to just give you one question. Gun to your head right now. You have to invite one of us, Spider or me. You have to make a decision, and one of us is going to be insulted. Who's coming to the wedding and who's going to be staying home waiting to get a picture sent to him?
That's tough.
It's tough because it's not in your nature to insult us. I mean,
I got to hang out with Spider the other night and have dinner with him. So
and it wasn't that great. Right.
No,
it was a good time. It was a good time.
It was for charity. It was for the NASCAR Foundation. We had a great time. So
I'm gonna have to go with large.
Yeah, I'm not offended.
That's a great way to answer it.
Is Zane coming?
What's that?
Is Zane gonna come?
Yeah, that's usually the caveat with everything. Yeah, she'll absolutely be there. But congratulations on everything. Early congratulations on the wedding. Good luck with the pitch. I'm saying right now.
Yeah, what's the line for a strike? I'm going to say a strike, for Tyler to throw a strike is plus 110.
Plus 110.
Yeah, plus money on a strike for Tyler Reddick. And I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
He's going to throw a meatball.
I think he's sandbagging us and he's going to shock the world. Tyler Reddick, driver the number 45 at 2311. One of our favorite guys. Thank you so much for your time. And back to the show. All right, as always, Tyler Reddick, a friend of this show. And I'm starting to feel like he doesn't even like us that much because he does everything. The guy is a very good ambassador for NASCAR. We had used him as nobody's cooler the other day when he did the Hamburglar scheme and whatnot. But we always appreciate Tyler and his support of this show. But with that, we're going to start to close off here. But we just want to remind everybody, NASCAR is coming to Chicago this weekend. It's happening right now. 2 full days of racing, nonstop entertainment. 4th of July is behind us. NASCAR is racing now through downtown Chicago and the iconic Grant Park. Chainsmokers, Keith Urban, Black Keys, Lauren Elena, just an all-star lineup. including myself, Spider, and Quiggs. The 2024 Chicago Street Race will be the most talked about event of the summer. We had some special package going on, which wound up being one of the best packages to get yourself some tickets. But if you haven't, get yourself some goddamn tickets because it's going to be a great one. They actually put out Reddick's paint scheme for it. I put it in the little rundown I sent you guys. I like this. Have you seen it? It's like this purple, light purple thing with the old school Jordan kind of going through on the original Jumpman pose. We're going to see a lot of cool shit this weekend for fans and people who are new to this sport. So make sure you guys tune in or make sure you guys show up because it's going to be a great weekend. And with that, let's make some picks. How do you guys feel about making some picks? I will go first if you guys don't want to because I don't think I'm going to be running anybody over.
Go ahead, Large.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
Yep.
please.
I'll log back into bet just to show my shit. This is one of those ones. I was looking at the schedule for the rest of the year. We could get into, we'll probably do it next week on, who we think is the guy who's going to be the fly in the ointment. A non-playoff driver right now who could grab a win and push everybody down, as Joey had done last weekend. But this is one of those ones where we don't have much empirical evidence because we only have what we had last year, and it was a fucking shit show, right? Last year was an absolute shit show that they got in. That being said, we do have to make some picks, and I'm taking Joey Logano top 10 at plus 145. I think that's easy just to throw that in. Anytime it's positive money with Joey top 10, considering too that he's going to be driving it the day before. There's a lot of people pulling double duty. It's not a huge deal to be pulling double duty. There's a lot of people pulling double duty between the Xfinity and the Cup race this week. But I'm going to take Joey as a top 10 for very, very little money, plus 145. And I'm also going to take Chase Elliott as a top 3 at plus 230. Those are the only two bets that I'm going to throw in right now. So Chase top 3 and Joey top 10, both plus 230 and plus 145. How do you guys feel about that? And how do you guys feel about your own picks?
I don't know how I feel about any of this. It's just, I don't know. I think I'm going with like chaos again this year.
Okay.
Obviously not to the same extent, but
the weather looks good, right? All I see is Sunday we might have, I think the showers would be very early in the morning. It says 40% chance of showers, but they don't give when. Oh no, that's saying, yeah. So not early in the morning, but around 9 o'clock, they're showing a little bit of rain between 9 and 11. So we're not going to have the biblical build an ark type shit that we had last year. But you're still saying chaos, and who do you like?
It's still a type of course they never run, super tight. So I think going with like an SVG or one of those guys, I just don't want to take anybody that's like plus 600 on this track. So I'm going to go with AJ Allmendinger, plus 1,400. I love taking him on road courses and street courses, I guess. So that, and then I got to take this. Josh Berry is plus 20,000. So I'm going to take him as a winner, plus 20,000, and a top 10, plus 700. I really like the top 10. I think.
Wait, give that to me again.
Josh Berry plus 20,000.
Okay.
And then top 10 plus 700.
Cool.
Ooh.
That seems juicy.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I will tell you, and I'm 100% honest with you guys. When I was kind of throwing in a couple of bets, I accidentally clicked on Chris Buescher plus 1,600 to win, and I had to place that bet.
I like that.
I like
you know what
that
I'm saying?
too.
It's people. I don't know. Like nothing would break my heart more than be like, oh, I did that on accident. So even without waiting till the end of the week, I'll throw that on. Chris Buescher to win at plus 1,600. That'll be my third one. All right, so you got that. Anything else, Quicks?
That's all for me. I might add
Yeah.
more on the day of, just since I'm there. I'll probably throw a bunch more, but
Yeah.
that's my card.
How about you, Spider?
I'm intrigued by Tyler Reddick, especially, given the time that he's given us on Chicago race weekend. I kind of am tempted to put a little wager on him, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna fade myself, and I'm gonna go with Chase Elliott is my main pick this week. He's plus 800. I like Chase a lot. I think this is another good opportunity for him to win. He's been running better this year. He's knocked a slump, and I don't know. This is the Chase Elliott that I would have bet on 30 times in 2020. I feel like is back now, so I need to start betting on him again. And the other guy I'm taking is Ty Gibbs, who's 16-1. I think he's another guy that's an elite road course racer. If this race gets hairy or messy or sloppy or any form of similarity to what we saw last year, I could see Ty Gibbs sneaking past a lot of these guys at the top of the odds list right now and stealing his first win in the NASCAR Cup Series. I think this is a good opportunity for him to do so. Those are the two drivers that really stood out to me. Quiggs really had me intrigued when he mentioned Josh Berry was plus 20,000. Austin Hill is another guy that I feel like a little intrigued by, only because he's such a heel and so hated that if someone needs to make an egregious dive bomb to win this fucking race late in it, I could see Austin Hill doing it and winning on some SVG, oh my God, who saw this coming shit that we saw last year. So maybe like $1 sprinkle on Austin Hill. But those are the ones that stuck out to me right now. As Large said previously on the show, we are recording on Wednesday, July 3rd. Currently, if you're in the state of Illinois, there's a 50% profit boost on DraftKings Sportsbook for placing a bet today. Again, on Wednesday, July 3rd. This will probably be expired by the time you're listening to this, but I'm telling you because a lot of times DraftKings offers these every single day. For example, if a golf tournament starts on Thursday, they will do a mystery boost Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There is a potential that the great people at DraftKings bless us with some more great promos between now, Wednesday, and Sunday, the race. So stay locked in on your DraftKings app. And I don't know what I'm going to use this 50% profit boost on.
I'm using it on Barry. Get him at plus 30,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I move Ty Gibbs up to from 16 to 1 to 24-1, or you could go with a guy like SVG, who's the favorite, from 5 to 1 to 7.5 to 1.
Probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah, that's probably the smart thing.
I want $30,000.
I hear you, Quiggs. So yeah, keep it locked on DraftKings, but those are my early picks, and as usual, stay tuned for Sunday morning where we'll have the official finalized race card.
I might boost the Chase Elliott top 3, right? Because I think that's my safest. Oh, yeah, but because Logano top 10 is kind of chalky and safe, but I'm still not going to get anything out of it. But to go, the Chase top 3, I might boost that. That's good. That's good heads up right now. Shane Van Gisbergen is plus 185 for the Xfinity race. That's unfucking believable. And it's an Xfinity race where he's going to be racing some guy named Kyle Larson, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, and Joey Logano. And on top of it, all the studs from the Xfinity. Is that way too much respect for this Kiwi who I hate?
I think it's warranted, though, Large. You look at how he's running on ovals for the first time at his first, his debut at a lot of these tracks he's attending, and he's over-exceeding expectations. Then you have to remind yourself, he's spent his whole career as a road course ringer, driving on these kind of tracks. So with how he's performing and the existing expectations, I think it's justified and reasonable to expect him to win, maybe even both races this weekend.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I gotta put out a public thing. It's any good American who wheels a cup car. I'm looking directly at you, Josh Berry. Just
Take
put this
his ass
fucking
out.
guy out. Yeah, right. I don't want to see another person get hit with a fucking weird looking football at the end of this. Moon, do you have anybody that either is on the outside looking in or
predict this race for us? What do you think's going to happen? You're the smartest guy on the panel.
Dude, well, that's saying something. You can't predict this one. I like Cindric plus 4,000 to win. And then Justin Haley ran second last year, and I feel like he's kind of forgotten about. I know I've made some wild picks this year, undoubtedly, but this one does not seem wild. He ran second, so I might throw a top 5 down on him just to see what happens, because he held his own. I know there was a lot of shit that happened, but he went toe-to-toe with Shane, and, he did America proud, so I'm going to ride with him.
Hell yes. Yeah, I might have to do that too now, just as an American. Fuck. So that's it. So we're going to be all over this street race. Like I said, it's going to be nice to watch a race with my man Quiggs. Spider and I will be there. Moon, you're not coming?
No, I won't be there.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Oh.
But we're going to have a good time. If you see us on the course, obviously stop by, say hello. We'll have a couple of pops. And that's it. Unless I look like I have a couple and I'm in my bag, then you probably just want to leave me alone. But everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week on Rubbin Racing.